Well, hello, eighthers. I'm hoping you all are doing fine, you all are doing well. नमस्कार। अनलॉक वन की प्रक्रिया पूरे देश में शुरू हो चुकी है, इसीलिए घर से बाहर तभी निकले जब बहुत ज़रूरी हो। I'm sure that you all are getting to hear this most of the times while you all are dialing someone over the telephone, and you all are most of the times you all are not only you, most of us are getting disturbed by this. But then it is actually a very important announcement which that lady is making, and she's asking us to be safe, to stay safe, and to get out of or to go out of home only if it is very very necessary, and also with all the necessary precautions. I'm hoping that you all are doing all of that. Now we were discussing, sir was doing, I had done parts of Asia and also the physical features of Asia. If we are to go by the previous year's first semester portion, then only one chapter, that is the first chapter, is left for this first semester. But then before going on to the first chapter, let us just have some kind of a refresher, some kind of a revision kind of a thing, and of these previous chapters, not a revision, some concepts, some basics of geography which will actually help you understand those chapters which were done in the or understanding the chapters of Asia, most importantly that of climate and those factors which actually affect the climate around us. Now, before we move on to that, another kind request which I had already, something which I had already told you all, is that please start or try to start reading and understanding maps, because that is one, or that is the most important book of geography you can ever have. And if you can understand, and if you can know, or if you know how to read a map, and also how to study a map and how to look at a map, then most of, or you do know a lot of geography. And understanding a map is important, and we will be going to my favorite geography book right now, that is a map, and I'll try to make you all understand and explain a few things about how climate, or how the features or factors of climate actually work. So let's just, so this here is my copy of the atlas, Oxford School Atlas, and I'll request you all also to get your own copy. Now, you cannot rely on my copy of the atlas every time. Trying to understand, or if we just try to understand how the climate actually works and what are those factors which affect climate, we do not have to go to the map of Asia or the map of the world. We can understand that by looking at any map or any country or continent's map. Let us just talk of, or let us try to understand things of about the climate and what are the factors affecting a climate. But just looking at the map of India, we are more familiar with this map. So one of the first important, or one of the most important thing which actually affects climate is the latitudinal position of a place. Now, if we just look at the latitudes over here, yes, we have 8-degree latitude. As we go up, it's 12-degree. Then we have 16. It keeps on going up. We have 20-degree latitude. We have the Tropic of Cancer over here. This one, this dotted line. I'm sure it is clear to all of you. Then we have the 24-degree latitude. So it is understood, or that the latitudes are progressing upwards as we move towards the north. This is something which everyone knows, that there's the equator in the center, and as we move up, the number of the latitude keeps on increasing until we reach the northern pole, somewhere near the Arctic Circle for the northern hemisphere. That is the 90-degree latitude. Now, when we are talking of, or when we are dealing with this map of India, if, or we know one thing, that the sun shines directly above the equator nearly all of the year, or nearly throughout the year, and the sun moves from the equator. Let me just get a pencil so that I can. The sun, or when we talk of the two tropics, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, we are actually talking about this. As you can see over here, we have the world map. It's a, I just got it, it was kept somewhere. Do not think that there's no world map in this atlas. I just got it. It was kept somewhere beside me, so it is easy. It will be easier to understand. If we are talking of this equator, you can see over here it is marked equator, the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn. So when we talk of the sun, actually the sun keeps on moving, or sun does not move due to the revolution of the Earth. It looks as if, or it appears as if the sun is moving. So the sun keeps on moving from the equator up to the Tropic of Cancer. It is during the summer months. Right now, on the 22nd of June, the 22nd of June, the sun was directly overhead on the Tropic of Cancer, and after 22nd of June, the sun will not move any more further up. It will again start moving downwards. On the 21st of September, it will again come back to the equator, and by the time it is 22nd December, by the time it is 22nd of December, the sun will be on the Tropic of Capricorn. Again by 20th of March, the sun will again be back on the equator, and by 22nd of June it will again move to the Tropic of Cancer. So this is the apparent movement of the sun from the equator to the Tropic of Cancer, then again from the Tropic of Cancer back to the equator, and from the Tropic equator to the Tropic of Capricorn, and from the Tropic of Capricorn again back to the equator. So this is the way the sun keeps on moving, the apparent movement of the sun. That is, it appears as if the sun is moving. Now, if we look at, or if you did understand about this, that what is the position of the sun, or in which position the sun keeps on oscillating around, you will understand one thing, that the sun is nearly shining directly in these regions throughout the year, in between the two tropics. So those areas which are lying in between these two tropics are, or do face hot temperatures. Why? Because the sun, during some time of the year or the other, the sun will be directly overhead in some, or during some time of the year. That is when the areas will be facing, or will be having hot temperatures. We are talking of 22nd June in the northern hemisphere. So we are in the northern hemisphere, India, you can see over here. So around 22nd of June we had our longest day. It was in June, so you know that over here we had very high temperatures. We were having summer, and it is our summer season. As the sun will be moving down, and again it will be going to the Tropic of Capricorn on the 22nd of December. Over here in the southern hemisphere, Australia will be having summer, and we will be facing winter. But if we are talking, if we know that we will be having summer again when this 22nd of June comes, and times around the 22nd of June, that is April, May, June, July, August, we will again be having summer months. But what about areas which are lying very far away from the equator? As we move up towards the equator, or as we are moving down towards the equator near the poles, what actually happens is that the sun is unable to, or the direct rays of sun do not fall on these areas. So these areas do not have very high temperatures. Why? Because there is no direct ray of the sun. So the sun's direct ray is unable to heat these areas. The sun's slanting ray come, and the slant keeps on increasing as we move towards the poles. So over here the sun's ray is direct. As we are moving upwards, the slant is increasing, and this, because of the increase in the slanting rays of the sun and the angle of the slant of the sun's rays, the temperatures over here do not rise that much, because the sun, due to the very slanting rays, is unable to heat up these areas around the poles and in the higher latitudes very much. So you understand one thing, closer a place is around, or the closer the place is near the equator, the latitude, if it is near the equator, the hotter that place will be. So if I am talking of some place over here, this place will be hotter than a place over here, because this place is very close to the equator, but this place is not that close to the equator. I hope this thing is clear. Now when we are talking of, this was, the latitude is one such reason, or one such factor which affects the climate of any place. Another very important reason, which or another very important factor which helps or which determines the climate of a region or of a place is the distance from the sea. Now let us talk of two places. Let us talk of two. We have the Bay of Bengal over here. Let me just turn to the political map. So we are having two places over here, and let us just, so the two places which we'll be talking about, let us just have Bhubaneswar over here and Nagpur. Now Bhubaneswar and Nagpur, you can see that they are nearly lying along the similar latitudes. There is not much difference if we just draw a line. So they are nearly in a very straight line, not very straight but then nearly straight. Bhubaneswar lies a little south of this line and Nagpur lies a little north of this line. Nagpur is clear to everyone, I guess. So we have Nagpur, we have Bhubaneswar. But if you all have traveled or if you all have gone to these two places, you all may have understood that Bhubaneswar will be having a much well, pleasant type of temperature. Let us not talk of Bhubaneswar. Let us talk of Puri over here. You can see Puri and we can have Nagpur over here. So Puri and Nagpur. So people who have gone to Puri, because Puri is much better example. Many people may have traveled to this, or many of you may have traveled to Puri. So when we are talking of Puri, you all know that Puri is a beach or a seaside town, and Puri over here will be having a much pleasant type of temperature throughout the year. If you visit Puri during the summer, it will be hot, but not as hot as it will be in Nagpur. And if you visit Puri during the winters, you will not even have or you will not be needing even a sweater, because Puri will be having a very moderate kind of a temperature, neither very hot nor very cold. But Nagpur during the winter months will be very, very cold. If you all have visited Nagpur, you all will be knowing that. Now why is there a difference? Both Puri, Nagpur, they are not lying very far apart, or the difference between the latitudes is not much. Then what is bringing in this difference? This difference over here is the distance from the sea. What actually happens is that Puri over here is very close to the sea, or it is lying on the sea. So it is a seaside town. And the Bay of Bengal, what happens over here is that you all have read about the sea breeze and the land breeze. So Puri comes under the direct influence of the sea breeze and the land breeze. During the daytime, the land gets hotter faster, and as land gets hotter faster and the sea is not that hot, because water takes a lot of time to become hot, what happens is that during the day the temperature of the land increases and the air above the land rises, and there is a low pressure over here above land. So the cool air from the, or cool breeze from the sea moves towards the land. And during the night, what happens is that the opposite happens. The sea is still warm, but the land cools down very quickly, and the area around Puri, the land, what will happen is that the land breeze will be flowing, and the air from the land areas around Puri will be flowing towards the sea. So during the day, what happens is that the temperature does not rise very much on the land or in Puri, because the cool winds from the sea will be flowing towards the area or towards the land, making the temperature, or bringing down the temperature and making the temperature cooler. But no such influence happens over here in Nagpur. Nagpur is very far away from the sea. So what happens is that the sea breeze and the land breeze does not play over here in Nagpur. So Nagpur, what happens is that during the day the land becomes very hot, and the land, as it is becoming hot, the air which is in contact with the land also becomes hot, and as the air also becomes hot, the temperature of Nagpur during the day becomes very hot. So the temperature of Puri is moderate, but that of Nagpur is not moderate, although they are lying nearly on the similar latitudes. Why? Because of the distance from the sea. So Puri has moderate temperatures throughout the year, but Nagpur, when it is summer, Nagpur has direct rays of the sun over it, it becomes very hot, and when it is winter, over here there is no direct ray of the sun, so Nagpur becomes very cold. Puri does not have to face or any such seaside town does not have to face such extremes of temperature. They have moderate temperature, and the moderation is brought about by the sea or distance of that place from the sea. Another very important reason, or another very important factor, which is there, which determines the climate of a place. Another very important factor which determines the climate of a place is, for this I'll have to go to the physical map. Not the it is mentioned in your book as relief features, but I'll just refer to this as altitude. If you do remember, in some of the classes in standard 7 I had mentioned something, or I had given you all the statement. Altitude mimics latitude, and if I'm not wrong, from standard 7B, Maz had answered this question. So Maz, if you still remember, Maz, I guess, or Arunav Pandey. So whoever did answer this question, I'm hoping you all still remember it. And let us just try to understand what it means. When we talk, or when we say latitude, altitude, height, what it actually means. What is altitude? Altitude is the height of any place. If I am talking of a mountain, the height or the altitude will be more, and if I am talking of a plain land, the altitude will be less. And I gave you the statement over here. Altitude mimics latitude. It means that mimics. What is the meaning of mimics? That is copying. So you do mimicry. So what is a mimic? Mimic is something which is copied. So whatever is happening with latitude also happens similar with that of altitude. It means that, or we just understood about latitude. As we move upwards, what happens is that the sun's ray keeps on decreasing, or the sun's direct ray, as we are moving upwards, the sun's direct ray is keeping on decreasing. That is why the temperature keeps on decreasing also, and it becomes colder as we move upwards to in the latitudes. Same thing happens as we move upwards in the altitude, or that of height. If I am talking of a mountain, you all, if I just ask you a very commonsensical question, this is the base of the mountain, or where the mountain is just starting, the base, this area will be hotter or colder? Well, if you said hotter, or if I'm giving two places, this is place A and this is place B. A is in the middle of the mountain, B is at the base of the mountain. If I now ask which will be hotter, A or B, and if you say B will be hotter, well, yes, सही जवाब आपको मिलता है. इसके लिए पता नहीं कितना अमित जी को पूछना पड़ेगा, but अमित जी loves Vikaji, so right now you all are correct if you said B, because B, being nearer to the ground, will be hotter. But as we keep on going upwards, what happens is that the temperature starts decreasing. The tip of the mountain may be snow covered, but the base of the mountain may be having very hot temperatures. So this is something you all have seen, and you all know that there is a mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, which is lying near the equator, and near the equator it should be very hot. You all know that. And at the base of that mountain Kilimanjaro, there are it is actually very hot, and there are grasslands over here, over there. But as we keep on moving up, and if you look at the picture of Kilimanjaro in the internet, you'll find that the peak of the Kilimanjaro is covered with snow, because as we move upwards, as the height of something or height of a place increases, the temperature keeps on decreasing. So if we look at these places, there's a physical map over here. The brown areas are representing highlands. So you understand now, those places which are in the higher lands will be having a bit cooler temperature than those areas in the lowlands. This area, or these areas, the plains of the Ganga over here, and over here the Garo and the Khasi hills, which you can see. Now this area of Patna will be hotter than Shillong. If you all have been to Shillong, if you all have been to Assam, Meghalaya, you know that the temperature over there and the climate over there is not very hot. In Shillong, it is actually a very cool kind of a pleasant kind of a temperature and climate. So they are lying, Patna and Shillong are lying nearly on the similar latitude, but Patna is lying on the plain and Shillong is lying over the hills, or on the hills over here, the Khasi Hills, Garo Hills, Jaintia Hills. So there's the range over here. Shillong is lying on that, and because of the height of Shillong, what happens is that Shillong is having cooler temperature than that of Patna. I guess this part is also clear to you. So the lower the altitude, hotter the temperature; higher the altitude, lower the temperature or cooler the temperature. Now another very important factor which results in the, or which is there, which determines the climate of a place, is the wind. So if any place, if hotter winds are blowing during the monsoon months, we are having monsoon right now, so what is happening is that hot winds carrying moisture is flowing or blowing from the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea area and going to or entering into mainland India and giving us rains. So when hot winds are blowing, we are having a hotter temperature. You all know that during the summer months, Loo blows over the plain lands of India. LW Loo. Loo means something else also, but over here in geography, Loo means well, winds, hot winds which are blowing over the plains of India. So when Loo is blowing over the plains of India, it brings or it increases the temperature of a place. And during the winter months, you all know, or you all have at times read in the newspapers or also seen in the news channels, there is a cold wave. Delhi is under the seas of a cold wave, or there's a cold wave coming in from the north. That is nothing but colder winds which are coming in from the northern side. You see over here the violet and the white color over here. These are very cold places. The Himalayas, the plateau of Tibet, and the mountain ranges, high mountain ranges over here. So when the cold winds are blowing during the winter months from these areas, or the cold winds are bringing in cold temperatures towards these areas also. So wind plays a very important role. And lastly, we have the ocean currents. What are actually ocean currents? Ocean currents are nothing but the movement of the, or a huge mass of water which flows from one area to the other due to the interaction of the ocean or the sea with wind. You didn't understand. You didn't understand. I hope you did not understand. Let me try to make it clear. Suppose this is wind, my hand, and wind is blowing. So this is wind, wind is blowing. And as this entire book, forget about this area, forget about the other colors. Imagine that this entire area is the sea or the ocean. This is water, the entire book, and my hand is the wind. As the wind is blowing, some part, or the wind is blowing over the water also. So the wind, as it is blowing over the sea, what is happening is that the wind is having its own kinetic energy, and as it is blowing over the water, it is transferring some of its kinetic energy to the water. And the kinetic energy which is transferred to the water, now the water also starts moving. The water may not move with as much speed as that of the wind, but then the water moves because of this kinetic energy which has been transferred by the wind. This is the drag. The wind is actually dragging this water along with it. So the wind, as it travels over the water, this wind is giving or transferring some of its kinetic energy to the water, and the water is moving. Now there are two kinds of ocean currents, the warm ocean currents and the cold ocean currents. The difference is that it's nothing much. Difference is where an ocean current actually originates. If the ocean current is flowing from a warm area, if the ocean current is flowing, suppose from this equatorial area and moving towards the Tropic of Cancer, so the equator, it started from a warm area, so it is a warm current. And if it is moving from, suppose, the polar area to the Tropic of Cancer, so it started from a cold area, it is moving to a warm area over here. So if it is starting, we have to see the point of start. If it is starting from a cold area moving to a warm area, then it is a cold current. Now there is one catch over here, or one thing to be understood over here. Suppose there is one current, or one current is originating from the Tropic of Cancer. The current, or two currents are originating from the Tropic of Cancer. One current, the current A, is moving towards the polar area, and the current B is moving towards the equator. So if we compare the temperature of this Tropic of Cancer with the equator, it is that the Tropic of Cancer is colder than the equator. So this B current, current B will be a cold current. Why? Because when it is compared, where is it flowing? Where is the B current flowing? The B current is flowing towards the equator. So we will be comparing we will be understanding if a current is warm or cold based on where it is originating and where it is flowing to. It is flowing towards the equator, so it is moving to a hotter area. So this area is colder in comparison to the equator. So B will be a cold current. But if we are talking of A is moving from this tropical area is warmer than this area because these areas are towards the poles. So if A is flowing till this point, so A will be moving from a hotter area near the tropics to a colder area near the poles. So A will be a hot current or a warm current. So from the same place, two currents are emerging or two currents are flowing, and B will be a cold current because it is moving from a colder area to a hotter area, and A will be a hot current because it is moving from a hotter area to a colder area. I guess this thing was clear to you all. What does a current do actually? It does nothing. It transfers the heat from one area of the globe or of the earth to the other. So the current, if a current is moving, sorry, if a current is moving from this equatorial area towards India, it means it is bringing warm waters from equator to India. So it is making the Indian Ocean or the parts around India warmer. And if a current is moving from India or to India from the, or if a current is moving to these parts of Africa from the upper side or from the northern side, from the polar side, that means these parts or this current which will be moving towards Africa will be bringing in cold water from the poles towards these areas of Africa. So current actually, what it actually does is that it moves water from the warmer areas to the colder areas, making the colder areas a bit warm, and colder area or and water from the colder areas to the warmer areas, making the warmer areas a bit cool. So it what the ocean currents actually does is regulates the temperature of places around the earth. I hope all of this was clear to you, and these are some of the factors which help or which actually determine the climate and temperature of a region. If you all understood these parts, these factors and how they work, I hope the not only of Asia, understanding temperature and climate of anywhere around the world will become easier for you all, and you will be able to understand how or what actually makes the temperature of a place cold or hot, and the climate of that place cold or hot. All of these things were clear, I guess. If you do have any problem, please mention it in the comment section so that I can get back to you. And please stay safe, be safe, and keep and be happy. Thank you.